In this tutorial, you're going to learn how to cook New York strip steak sous vide style. You just need a few ingredients to make your New York strip. First, of course, you need New York strip steak. You also need a variety of seasonings, garlic and olive oil, and to make the sous vide process easier, you're going to use some butter to keep the steaks nice and juicy. Then you're going to top it with cilantro before you put it in the bag. Now I'm going to show you step by step how to cook New York strip steak sous vide style. So the meat that I'm using today is this New York strip. It doesn't have any bone in it, but of course you could use meat that has bone. The sous vide does a really good job of cooking meat all the way through to a perfect medium temperature, as long as you're using the right heat setting. So any sort of steak, even if it's a nice premium cut, will come out well if you just follow the directions. So we're going to unwrap this. Then we're going to mix the seasonings and flavors in it. And then we're going to put all of that inside of the back seal bag. So these are the ingredients that we're going to work with today. You could basically use anything. It would pretty much come out delicious just because you're using vac seal and the sous vide machine. What we have here is fresh cilantro. Using anything with the sous vide is a really great idea to use fresh herbs. They'll taste so delicious in there. Also using some garlic salt, which I love. This is a really interesting Rocky Mountain meat and fish rub. It has interesting flavors that you'd expect in a smoker. Like there's coffee rub on it, all sorts of delicious things. So looking forward to using that. Tried it the other night and it was great. And then minced garlic, of course, because I don't really do anything without delicious garlic flavors. And also going to use a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, going to use some butter when we put it in the vac seal bag, and going to use some pepper. So whatever you're doing, I recommend at least using garlic, a fresh herb, salt, and pepper. And then if you have other interesting spices that you want to try or haven't used in a while, throw them in as well. They always taste so good in the sous vide machine. Wow, these are some nice and juicy looking New York strip steaks. So first the salt is going on. This is actually a garlic salt because we are not afraid of salt. I mean garlic in this house. I guess we're not afraid of salt either. But we're definitely not afraid of garlic. So we're gonna do this and the chopped garlic as well. It doesn't really matter the order that you put the seasonings on. This is the delicious rub that I was telling you about. It has really big flakes of things like coffee in it. It's so good. It gives it a nice smoky flavor. But you could use any sort of steak seasoning you want. Now the fresh cracked pepper is going on. And now that all the dry ingredients are on, we're going to make a little mixture of wet ingredients. You don't necessarily have to do this, but we just do because we're foodie people and we love getting all into it. So now there's just going to be a little spread made here of the fresh garlic and some olive oil. And then that's going to be put on top of the steak. Let me just zoom into this one, it looks so good. Flip. So these steaks are now ready to put in the vac seal bag and then add the fresh herbs, add the pat of butter, and then seal and then put in the sous vide machine. Next, some butter and cilantro needs to be prepared so it's ready to put in the vacuum sealed bag with the steak. So now we're going to take the steaks and put them both in the same bag, and we'll vac seal them after. They just go side by side. It doesn't really matter if they're touching, but they don't need to be touching. There's plenty of room in the vac seal bag. And then next goes the butter on each one. It's just going to make them extra nice and juicy. And then to finish it off, using fresh herbs to go on top. Whew, that looks beautiful. I was sent this cool Food Saver 4400 vac seal to try, and I'm going to use it for this recipe. I'll leave a link so you can buy it if you want to below. So now we're going to vacuum seal the New York strip. The first thing is you need to turn on the on button. And then we're going to select the moist setting because we did put some olive oil in there with garlic. So it's just enough moist that it feels better on the moist setting. If you were going to do something dry, like maybe you're going to do beets or vegetables or something, that would be fine. But since there is some moisture in there, it's good to let the machine know. And then next, all that's happening is that this is going in the same way the first vac seal was done for the other end. So once it's in there, the machine will sense it. Almost done now. One important thing to note is that you want to wait until this red light is off, and that'll mean that it's safe to take out. So see, now the vacuum seal is ready to take out. And there is a beautiful, beautiful seal. And the front of it looks great. It looks so neat to see all of the butter and everything. It's just like kind of a fun science project to do. But anyway, so this is ready at this point to drop into the sous vide machine. You could always stick it in the fridge, you could stick it in the freezer, you could save it like this. Since all of that air is out, it won't lead to freezer burn or anything like that. Cool. Now you need to drop the New York strip steak into the sous vide bath for 1 to 1.5 hours at 135 degrees. There are some sous vide accessories that you can get, like these little clips that hold the bag in place. I'll leave a link for these below in the description to this video. When the sous vide bath is done cooking the steak, you need to take it out of the bag carefully because it'll be very hot. Remove the New York strip steak and set it on a paper towel. You need to make sure it's not moist when you go to put it on the stove. You can remove any of the herbs that are left over at this time and just make sure the steak is completely pat dry by the paper towel. The steak will look a little bit funny, but once you put it on the stove, you'll get a delicious sear on the outside and it'll look like perfectly cooked steak. Add olive oil to a pan over medium-high heat. When the pan is nice and glossy with the olive oil, it's ready for the New York strip to hit the pan. Put the New York strip in the pan and make sure you thoroughly cook each side until it forms a nice thick crust. About 1 minute each side, but you might want to start off with just about 30 seconds on each side to make sure that you don't overcook the steak. This is a good time to use a thermometer if you're new to cooking steak to a perfect medium temperature. While the final side of this New York strip is getting seared in the pan, add a couple tablespoons of butter. This is going to infuse a lot of juicy flavor into the steak. Make sure to use a spoon and keep pouring the butter over the steak until it's thoroughly drenched. Once you have all 4 sides of the steak completely seared, it's time to take off the steak and let it rest on a cutting board. After letting the steak sit for a couple of minutes, it's ready to slice. Make sure you slice away from the grain and serve your beautiful, delicious New York strip steak for everyone to enjoy. Hope you found this tutorial helpful. Stay tuned for more sous vide recipe posts coming up on Sit Bite Go. Make sure to subscribe to the channel on YouTube today and check out the site for more tips for cooking sous vide style. Hope you have a wonderful day. Cheers!